Hey, what's up guys, Yuma here, back with another video. In this one I'm going to be showing you how to kill the Barrows Brothers. Just a heads up, like with any other video, anything from equipment loadout to inventory setup is purely recommendations by me. So if you have something that's slightly different, that's totally fine. It's just what I've been using to kill the brothers myself. So yeah, without wasting any more time, let's get into it. So to begin with, there are a total of 8 Barrows Brothers. Normally you can only fight 6 until you've completed 2 quests. The first one is to fight Akrisae, and that can be fought after completing Ritual of the Mahajarat quest. The other is called Linza and can be fought after completing the Kindred Spirits quest. The brothers are fairly strong for their level, being able to utilise their armour set effects much like a player would when they use their full set. Linza is a unique exception, being significantly stronger than the rest of the group with higher combat stats and health. Okay, so now moving on to the recommendations. For this fight I recommend a 65 plus combat and defense, 43 plus prayer, 70 plus weapons and armor, 85 plus herbal unless you can buy the super potions like Grandmaster, protection or deflection prayers because the Barrows use different types of combat against you. If you are high level I recommend soul split, super potions such as Grandmaster or higher. If you are high level, I recommend just bringing along some overloads. If you are lower level, you may benefit more by taking hybrid armor such as War Priest because the Barrows use different combat styles against you, and instead of switching armors all the time, you might just find it more beneficial taking hybrid. During the end of Akrisae's fight, if you don't kill him quick enough, he will use a protective prayer. This basically just nullifies any more damage you can do against him if you're using whatever weapon style you're using. So I recommend just taking a different type of weapon just to finish him off. Alternatively, you can use Necro against his brother because he doesn't pray Necro, so you can finish him off quickly like this. Another way to kill him is just by using a Barrows Amulet on his tomb before you've even summoned him. This will kill him off straight away and you can carry on with the other brothers like normal. Bringing along a Salve Amulet will increase the damage and your accuracy by 15%. If you have the E version, the enchanted version, this will go up to 20%. Completing the 2 quests, Ritual of the Mahajarat and the Kindred Spirits, will give you access to killing the other 2 brothers, Akrisae and Linza. Completing the hard Mortania achievements has a few different benefits. The first one is when you're underground, your prayer drain rate drops, but if you've completed the achievements, this is halved. The second one is you get double the amount of runes from the chest. And lastly, you do have an option to bank all of your rewards, so this will just save inventory space in the long run. Lastly, if you do have a penance aura, this will just save you a load of prayer potions, super restore flasks, stuff like this, just by having this aura activated. So if you do have it, I do recommend you bring this along too. Okay, so now moving on to the different attacks the brothers do. If you're a higher level, you can skip this bit because their HP isn't too high, so their effects won't kick in too much because you'll be able to kill them straight away. If you're a lower level, you might want to stick around and see what each one does. This might just benefit you when you fight them yourself. So the first brother I'm going to talk about is Guffins, and his special is Guffin's Infestation. It allows him to heal himself at 1.1 ratio. So if he does 500 points of damage and the effect occurs, he will recover 500 life points. His effect is accompanied by an animation when activated. 3 ghostly entities surround Guffin's opponent, then circle around them in an upwards motion. So the best thing I recommend for you to do is just keep on the attack until Guffin's is defeated. The next brother, Carol, has an effect called Carol's Taint. It allows his hits to have a chance to reduce to player's magic level. When this effect is activated, an animation and a sound effects are triggered, and a player will suffer a loss of magic level. This effect is not very damaging to a player if they are not using magic, particularly if overloads are used. Regardless, his hits are rather accurate, so protecting prayers or curses are advised. Soul Split can also be used, but should only be utilised by experienced players. What I recommend you do is just deflect/protect prayers or use Soul Split until Carol is defeated. The next brother is called Torag, and he has an effect called Torag's Corruption. It causes his attacks to occasionally drain a small amount of adrenaline from a player. This effect is identical to the set effects gained by a player wearing a full set of Torag's equipment. This effect is also accompanied by an animation when activated. A set of purple claws will raise from the floor and clench the player, before sinking back into the ground again within a matter of seconds. This effect is considered more of a nuisance than a lethal effect, as the amount of adrenaline drained is roughly 10% of a full bar and the effect does not occur very often. So what I recommend for this is just keep on the attack until Torag is defeated. The next brother is called Verak, and his effect is Verak's Defilement. So it allows Verak's hit to have a chance to ignore the player's armor bonus in a similar fashion to you wearing the equipment yourself. This effect does not trigger any animation or sound effects, so players should monitor their life points carefully. Protect from melee or deflect melee is advised when attacking Verak to lower his overall max hit. So what I recommend you do is just protect or deflect melee to reduce overall max hit damage until he is defeated. The next brother is called Darok, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, and his effect is Darok's Might. So this causes his average damage dealt to be increased as he loses life points. This causes him to hit upwards of 3 to 4,000 when at low life points. Therefore, it is important for a player to watch their life points as well as their prayer points if using protection prayers, and to eat food when necessary. Protect from melee or / deflect melee are also recommended when fighting him, as this can block up to 50% of damage he inflicts, reducing maximum hit from 3 to 4,000 to 1 to 2,000. So what I recommend you do for this is make sure your health is high by eating food, and protect or deflect melee to reduce the damage from Darok until he is defeated. The next brother is called Arim, and his special effect is Arim's Blight. Now this gives each successful attack cast by this brother a chance to lower a player's strength level. Although the damage from the attack itself can be partially blocked by protection prayers or curses, this next effect cannot. Therefore it is advised for a player to bring something to restore a player's strength level back to normal if using melee, such as a restore potion or greater. This effect is accompanied by an animation as well as a sound effect. So what I recommend you do for this is just use deflect or protect prayers to partially block this effect, and if a player's strength level is drained too much, use something to replenish this. The next brother is called Akrisae, and his effect is Akrisae's Doom. So this gives him a chance to drain the player's prayer in a similar manner to that of a player wearing an entire set of Guthan's equipment. When a player not using prayer attacks him and the effect activates, he will say, "Ah, more prayers." The attack's using magic and is very accurate, so protect from magic or deflect magic is advised. When he takes 1500 or more damage from melee, ranged or magic, he will activate the corresponding protection prayers against it, making him immune to damage from that combat style. Players can use Smash, Havoc, Snipe or Dragon Breath to disable his overhead prayers briefly. Alternatively, players can simply use Necromancy, as he will not activate Protect from Necromancy. So there are a few things you can do to this brother. The first one is to switch combat styles when he uses protected prayers. This will finish him off. The next one is to use Smash, Havoc, Snipe or Dragon Breath, and this will temporarily disable the prayers above him. The next one is just to use Necro, because he doesn't use Protect from Necro. And lastly, you can just use a Barrows Amulet on his tomb to avoid this fight altogether. Now last but not least, we have Linza. Now Linza's effect is purely defensive, so whenever she takes damage, there is a chance that she will reflect anything from 500 to 800 damage back onto the player. She will still take full damage from incoming attacks, however, players should be wary when using Death Swiftness or Sunshine, as the damage over time effect can easily stack into high damage if she uses the effect often. So what I recommend you do is just keep your health high. Use Soul Split if you do have it to keep your HP topped up. If you don't have Soul Split, then just keep eating food if your health drops low. And also, she does have 150,000 life points, just to bear this in mind too when you go to fight her. Okay, so now moving on to the equipment I recommend. We're going to start mid tier and work our way up to high tier. So mid tier melee gear, I recommend a Penance Aura, Obsidian Cape, a Salve Amulet, Enchanted or Normal, an Asylum Surgeon Ring, a Quiver, any tier is fine, a Sara Godsword, and an Illuminated Book. Then for the armour, I recommend War Priest or Banados, so the helmet, chestplate, gloves, tassets, and boots. For the range gear, I recommend exactly the same, but swap out your Staff of Light for a Dark Bow, and your armour, again you can use War Priest, or I'm using Armadillo, so helmet, chestplate, gloves, chain skirt and boots. For the mage gear, I recommend the same again, but swap out your quiver for a rune pouch, any tier is fine, a Staff of Light, and again War Priest or Subjugation. I've gone with hood, garb, gloves, gown and boots. Okay, so now moving on to the high tier equipment, starting with melee. I recommend a Pennant's Aura, a Kiln Cape, the melee version, a Salve Amulet, enchanted or normal, a Reaver's Ring, a Rune Pouch, any tier is fine, a Nox Sith, and a Scripture of Jas. Then for the armour, I've gone with Masterwork, the trimmed version, so a helm, plate body, plate legs and boots. And now you can go for a Cinderbane gloves or Death Touch bracelet. For the range gear, I recommend the same, but swap out your Kiln Cape from melee to range, your quiver instead of a Rune Pouch. The weapons, I've gone with Ascension, main hand and offhand, but you can use a Nox bow. The armour, I've gone with Serenic, so the mask, body and legs, but swap out the gloves for Cinderbane or Death Touch, and for the boots, I've gone with Fleeting. And lastly, for the mage gear, I recommend the same, but swap out your quiver for a Rune Pouch again, a Staff of Sleesky or something similar for the weapon, and for the armour, I've gone with Tectonic, so the mask, robe top and legs, but again swap out the gloves for Cinderbane or Death Touch, and the boots I've gone with Hellfire. Okay, so now moving on to inventory. Again, I'm going to start mid tier, then work my way up to high tier. So for mid tier, if you do have it, overloads, but if not, super potions like Grandmaster or higher, super prayer renewal potions and super restore flasks. Bring along some food, Barrows Amulets for the tombs, ancient elven ritual shard for your prayer points, an enhanced Excalibur for your life points, and a Draken's medallion if you do have it. This is just easy because when you've finished with a fight and you've looted the chest, you can use this medallion to teleport right back to the Barrows entrance and start all over again. For the high tier, I don't recommend you take any overloads because it seems a waste, because the Barrows their health isn't too high apart from Linza's, but I do recommend you take some super prayer renewal potions, the ritual shard for your prayer points and Excalibur for your life points, the Barrows Amulets for the tomb, and a medallion so you can teleport back to the entrance. This is just a revolution bar setup you can use depending on the combat style you're going to be using for Barrows. I will leave a link in the description so you can look a little bit more closely at the abilities, but this is just a good little understanding on the order of abilities you can use and set it up before you start the fight yourself. So this is the bar I use when I go to kill the brothers myself. It's a mage setup, but I take the ultimate ability out and I move it down a slot. This is because when I go to kill the brothers, they don't have a lot of health, so if I go to use the ultimate, it'll be a waste. So the only time I use the ultimate is when I go to kill Linza, so I get the most out of it. The only other ability I use on the bottom bar is Soul Split, and on the right hand side is Surge, because this speeds up my runs. I will show you this in just a moment. Just a couple of tips and tricks just before we actually start the boss fight. The first one is the puzzle door. Now this door is just before you enter the chest room, and there are 4 different puzzles to choose from. To start with, you might start making mistakes and stuff like that, and that is totally fine, but once you start doing this over and over, this becomes second nature. So the answer to each question mark is highlighted in red just underneath. This is just a overview of the Barrows Brothers graveyard. I have numbered the hills 1, 2, 6. I've done this to simply remind myself which underground entrance corresponds with the hill. So let's say the underground entrance is under number 3. I would type number 3 into my friends chat, then carry on with 4, 5 and 6, kill the remaining brothers, and then look into my chat after I've killed Linza, remind myself that the hill is under number 3, and then go to the hill and then carry on with the encounter. Okay, I'm going to try and explain the underground and the ways to go as easy as possible so you understand and so you can get through this as quick as possible. So in the left diagram you have a bunch of squares, a bunch of arrows, a bunch of circles. I just want you to focus on the bottom right red square. That's just where the rope is, and that's where you end up as you go down to the underground. Now for this instance, all the doors are blocked apart from the south door, so let's just say that's your only option out. So you follow the red arrow out, and then you go to the second arrow, you go to the third arrow, and you're in another room. You're in the southwest room. Now you're confronted with 2 options. Now you only follow the yellow arrow if you can get through the north door. Now if you can't get through the north door, you carry on and follow the green arrow to the south room. So again, you're confronted with two options. You only go through the purple door if it lets you go through the purple door. If not, you follow the blue arrow until you reach the northwest corner. You follow the blue arrow round until you reach the north room, and again, two more options. Only go through the purple door if it lets you. If not, carry on with the blue until you reach the northeast corner. Follow the arrow down until you reach the east door, and this will be the only door you can go through if you can't go through any other door. And then you go through the puzzle door and you'll reach the chest. Now in diagram 2, let's just say we start in the same spot. So let's just say we can't go down this time through the back way, and our only option is going west through the door. Now you do exactly the same as the first diagram. If you can't go through the purple door, you carry on with the green. You'll end up in the southwest corner. You go through until you reach the west corner and you're confronted with two options. If you can't go through the purple door, carry on north until you reach the northwest corner. Then you go east until you're confronted with two more options. And if you can't go through the purple door, you carry on east until you reach the northeast corner. Then make your way south until you're on the east side, and this will be your only option if you can't go through any other door. Diagram 1 will work if you need to go through the south door or the east door. The only difference is the arrows will be pointing the opposite way, and with diagram 2 this will work if you need to go through the west door or the north door. Again, the arrows will be pointing the other way. The X's are the doors that you can't go through, and the circles are optional doors, but I don't recommend using the circles because it cuts a whole section out and you might need to use that middle section to get in to the middle. So avoid the circles and just follow the arrows. Also, just a little side note, the colours of arrows and the colours of squares are just for display purposes. When we do this in person, there won't be any coloured doors or anything. It's just to help you understand just now before we go in. Okay, so now we have all of that out the way. I'm quickly going to show you how to get to the fight. I'm going to show you a slower way and a faster way. Then we're going to delve into the fight and I'm going to show you how to kill the brothers. So yeah, let's get into it. So if you've never been to the boss fight yourself, you're going to want to open up your teleport interface and teleport to canvas. This will just teleport you outside of the town next to the lodestone, and what you want to do is go through the town until you reach a pair of gates. So to get through these gates you need to have started a quest called Nature Spirit. If you haven't, you can go a little bit east and go around these gates and go through the swamp like normal. You want to go all the way south through this little area, and then you want to go through this town, and once you've crossed the bridge on the other side you will be just outside the graveyard to start the fight. So a quicker way of getting to the Barrows Brothers is by doing a minigame called Temple Trekking, and once you've done this minigame and you've got all the companions to level 100, you can right click the gate and click quick travel. This will just cut out the whole middle bit of the swamp. You'll end up in this area, and again all you have to do is go through this little maze area and through the town, across the bridge, and you'll end up outside the graveyard. If you want to skip the whole swamp situation, you can use a games necklace to teleport to the town just outside of the graveyard by clicking one of the options, and then all you have to do is just make your way to the graveyard to start the encounter. Another way is by using this trapdoor just behind the pub in canvas, and this will basically transport you from the town to that other town that's just before the graveyard, and all you have to do is go over the bridge to the east and you'll end up at the graveyard. A quicker way of getting to the brothers is by using this Draken or Dragon medallion. It's a reward from the quest Branches of Darkmere. This is really useful if you plan on staying multiple trips at the Barrows Brothers. It will just teleport you back to the start of the graveyard, and if you are in close proximity to the graveyard you won't use any charges. So you start with 10, I've gone down to 2, but as long as you stay near the graveyard you won't use any. It's really useful. If you've killed the brothers at least once, you'll be able to teleport to War's Retreat, just in your teleport tab just here. Once you've made your way to the hub, just make your way down these stairs. There will be a couple of portals in front of you can reattune. What you want to do is reattune one of them to Barrows, because this is the boss we're killing. There will be a small fee, but once you've paid it you don't have to pay it again. Just click yes, and you'll be able to go through the portal and you'll end up just outside the graveyard, ready to start the encounter. Okay, so once you've made your way to the boss fight and you have your equipment and all of your inventory set up, it's time to begin. So what I like to do is make sure I have my penance aura activated, I have my scripture of Jas if you have it available on, and then make sure my prayer is equipped. So I'm going to be using Soul Split, and literally you're ready to begin. So step one is I always go to the top left corner. This is the first one that I do. I'm going to go down the set of stairs and then encounter the first brother. I'm going to click the tomb and then kill the brother, and then after I've done this, make my way to the second tomb. After I've killed the first brother, I make my way to the second tomb. Now for this encounter, this message comes up, which means this is the entrance to the underground. The entrance is different every time, so it just happens to be this for this encounter. So what I do, I type number 1 in the chat, and this just reminds me after I've killed all the other brothers, I need to come back to this corner. After I've made my way back on top, I go to the second tomb, which is the one on the east side, and I do exactly the same. I go down the stairs, I click the tomb, and I kill the brother. Now I know the underground message won't come up anymore because I know it's the one in the top left corner. So all I do is circle around this graveyard until I've killed them all. So the next tomb I count as number 3, which is the one to the south. Again, go down the stairs and kill the brother, and then once the brother is defeated, go back upstairs. So what you want to do is just rinse and repeat this, go down, kill the brother, come back up until you reach the middle tomb. Now once you reach the middle one and you've killed the second to last brother, you will be left with Linza. So with Linza, I like to turn on my Torment Prayer just to give me that extra boost of attack and defense, and then I turn on my ultimate, so because I'm using Mage, it's Sunshine, and then all I have to do is just focus on the fight. I don't have to do anything else. Usually I'm able to kill her before Sunshine resets, so this is just an indication on how long the fight takes, and then just keep hacking away at her health until she's defeated. So once Linza is defeated, for the next step what I like to do is turn off my prayers. I do this because I only have one more brother to defeat and I won't need the prayers on for one brother. So what I do is make my way back up the stairs, look into my chat, it's number 1, so I'll go to the first hill and make my way downstairs. So sometimes if I'm not paying attention, I'll click the wrong tomb, so if it's not the first one, it's going to be the second. The message will come up saying, are you happy to go underground? You click yes, and you'll end up underground. The next step is when you're underground, there will be 4 doors surrounding you, north, east, south and west. Only one of the doors will open up, so once you've located that, click the door and then make your way through. Now a good little tip is when you make your way through the underground and you have to go through the back bit like this, once you make your way through the door on the other end, always check the room to the left and right. It depends on what side you end up at. So for this, I'm going to check the room to the right. If the door has nothing around it, I have to go forward. If the door on the left or right says open, then I go to the left or right. For this instance, the left and right one wasn't open, so I had to go through the middle. Always check the room that you go in and see if the door opens. If the door doesn't open, you continue around until it does say. 9 times out of 10 it's always the last door, so don't feel like it's just bad luck, it's just how it is. So once you locate the door, what I do, I can ignore the brother because it's the annoying one, solve the puzzle as quickly as you can, go through the door and then go through the next door, and the brother should disappear. Use the Barrows Amulet on the chest. This will defeat the brother without you actually killing him. Open the chest up and loot your reward and you are done. Now all you have to do is bank your reward or collect your reward. Use your medallion to teleport out. If you don't have a medallion, you can teleport out using your teleport tab. If not, you have to use the rope to get out, which is the most inconvenient way of getting back out, and then you're ready to start again. So I'm going to show you once more. So what I like to do on my second encounter is take a sip of my renewal flask and use my elven ritual shard just to boost my prayer points back up. Then I go to the first hill and then go down. Now for this encounter, the first tomb is the one that's underground. So I know this, and then I go to the second tomb. I use the amulet on the annoying brother just to completely defeat him without him even leaving the tomb. And now if it's the same hill, I don't type number 1 or number 2 again, I just look at the chat right at the end and I know it's that hill. So just like the first encounter, I go to the next hill, go down the hill, kill the brother, go back up, go to the third one, keep rinse and repeating this until I get to Linza. Once I get to Linza, I turn on my turmoil or whatever combat style you're using, and then I turn on sunshine, death swiftness, whatever combat style you're using again, kill Linza, and then what I like to do is turn off my prayers and then get ready for the underground. So I look at my chat and it's number 1, so I know it's hill number 1. I go to the tomb, are you happy to go down? Press yes and you'll end up downstairs in the underground. You go to the corresponding door, so this one is the east one, go through it, then go through the second one. When I'm in the second room, I check the door, if it doesn't open, I carry on and I continue round until I find the door that does open. Now sometimes when you're down in the underground, before you reach this chest, the last brother will emerge before you've reached it. You got 2 options, you can kill the brother or you can keep circling around and it will disappear. And when you get to the middle, if he doesn't appear, then you can use the amulet on the chest to avoid the fight altogether, or you can just click the chest, the brother will come out, kill the brother and then loot the chest and then just leave. So that's basically everything for Barrows. There are a few tips and tricks I want to tell you just before this video is up. The first one is surging. So when you end up back on top, you can surge between one hill and the other, just like this. It doesn't seem like you save a lot of time, it may be just a couple of seconds, but if you do this for a whole hour, you might be able to get another kill, or at least another kill or 2 in, and that really helps if you're going for the log and stuff. And also I've keybound the surge ability to my mouse, so I don't even need to press it on the keyboard, I can just press it on the top of my mouse and it's literally no inconvenience to me whatsoever, and it just speeds up the whole run. Again, if it was confusing about the underground when you go to the outside of the underground, a simple way is when you click through the door, there will be a room to the left or to the right of you. It depends which way you come out. So once you come through the door, what I like to do is just scan the other room with my mouse, just like this. If you can't open the door, if nothing comes up, then you know the door you have to go through is the one in front. If the door to the left or right does highlight as open, you can go through whichever corresponding door is to the left or right. But if not, you have to go straight. And then when you go through the next room, again highlight the door to the left or right. If it doesn't open up, it will be the door that's in front of you. Now also, like I said earlier, it might just be that it's the very last door you encounter, so it'd be like what, the sixth or seventh room. It seems really annoying, it seems like it's bad luck, but it's usually just a case of just going through all the doors until you reach the very last door. Once you found the room with the puzzle, just as you enter the room, a mob will appear. Now this mob will attack you and will kick you out of the interface and give you a new puzzle if you're not quick enough. So be quick enough that you complete the puzzle to go through, but not too quick that you mess up, because if you do, the puzzle will be allocated to another door around the underground and it will just slow down your kills per hour. Okay, so that is everything for the Barrows Brothers. Any tips and tricks I have left out, I will leave in the description. It may be worth just giving it a quick read, because it may benefit you when you go to kill the brothers yourself, just speed up your kills, stuff like that. The brothers aren't the most difficult to kill, but they are quite time consuming, only because the brothers are spread out in different hills. Then you have Linza at the end with the most life points, so just bear all that in mind when you go to do it yourself. Just remember, you have got stuff like the Barrows Amulets, so you can use them on tombs. You can use them up to 3 times per run, but you can't use it on Linza's tomb, unfortunately. You can surge between tombs, between hills, so that can speed up your runs as well. Just stuff like that, little things that can help. It doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're there for the whole hour, you might be able to get an extra kill or two out of it. Any questions or queries you have with this, just leave it in the description and I'll try my best to answer them for you. But yeah, until the next one, thank you for watching.